Welcome to SAP Floor Plan Manager e-learning course. As part of this course, firstly, I'll be talking about the introduction to Floor Plan Manager. Here, I'll be covering many basic things like what is Floor Plan Manager and what are the different benefits of SAP Floor Plan Manager. In this session, you'll be able to understand that Floor Plan Manager is basically used for UI harmonization and to give the customers the uniform look and feel of your UI application. And also I'll be talking about the floor plans and different types of floor plans that are available in Floor Plan Manager. Object Instance Floor Plan, that's OAF. Quick Activity Floor Plan, that's QAF. Overview Floor Plan, that's OVP. Guided Activity Floor Plan, that's GAF. So these are the 4 different floor plans that are available in Floor Plan Manager, and we'll be discussing what each floor plan is all about and what are the differences among these floor plans. Followed by that, I'll also take you through the architecture of FPM based Web Dynpro applications. So here you'll be able to understand how FPM is coming into picture and how do you link Web Dynpro applications in FPM environment. Later, I'll also take you through the component interface IF FPM UI building block, which is the pillar of Floor Plan Manager framework. In chapter 2, you'll be able to understand how do you create simple FPM applications. As part of this, first I'll be giving you the basic understanding of common steps in configuring Floor Plan Manager applications. So whenever you have to develop a floor plan application, you will have to create the application for a Web Dynpro component based on your floor plan. Then you'll be creating application configuration, then component configuration, and you go for the UIBB's configuration. So these common steps will be discussed, and I'll also show you in the system how do you configure all these entities in your system. After performing the common steps, I'll be discussing about developing individual applications based on floor plan. For example, you will learn how to develop OAF application, GAF application, and OVP application. I'll also teach you about how do you configure the identification region, which is nothing but the header part of FPM application. And then I'll also take you through FPM dialog box. Here you'll be able to understand what is FPM dialog box and how to create and configure FPM dialog box in real-time FPM applications. As part of chapter 3, I'll be discussing about the configuration editor concepts in Floor Plan Manager. Firstly, let's explore the configuration editor in Floor Plan Manager environment. So I'll show you what is configuration editor and how to launch configuration editor for various floor plans, and I'll also show you what is initial screen and confirmation screen, what are the uses of having initial screen and confirmation screen, and how to configure initial screen and confirmation screen. In the later part of chapter 3, I'll be talking about the FPM toolbar. So here I'll be telling you what are all different things that are available as part of FPM toolbar and what kind of toolbar elements that are available for initial screen, OAF floor plan, and GAF floor plan. Followed by that, I'll be talking about the FPM event loop There are several methods in the interface IF FPM UI building block. So the basic things are discussed in chapter 1. So in this chapter, we'll be having a detailed look at this interface. I will also discuss how to trigger the FPM events programmatically, and I'll take you through the real-time example in this case. And you'll also be able to understand what is data loss pop-up in FPM environment and how to trigger a data loss pop-up. Followed by that, you'll be able to understand how to trigger messages in FPM scenario and how is it different from normal Web Dynpro scenarios. In chapter 4, you will come to know how to do dynamic programming in FPM. Firstly, you'll be able to understand what is application specific configuration controller, which is a most important topic in FPM scenario. So in this topic, I'll be talking about how to declare the application specific configuration controller in FPM configuration editor. Then there are various appcc functions based on the floor plan. So I'll be talking about OAF, GAF and OVP floor plan applications. After understanding what is application specific configuration controller and its details, I'll show you how to create variants in FPM floor plans and how to switch among different variants. Then I'll also show you how to create sub-roadmaps in guided activity floor plan and how to invoke sub-roadmaps at runtime. Then you'll be able to understand how to pass application parameters to FPM applications and how is it different from Web Dynpro scenarios. Then we'll have a look at what is quick help, how to create quick help, and what are the different methods of creating quick help in Floor Plan Manager scenarios. Then I'll be discussing on the most important topic in dynamic adjustment scenarios, that is working with toolbar. So how do you adjust the toolbar dynamically? For example, creating the UI elements like button choices, etc. For that, I'll also discuss about the methods in various interfaces. For example, IF, FPM, CNR, OAF, that's for the OAF floor plan, and IAF, FPM, CNR, GIF, that's for guided activity floor plan. Followed by that, I'll also take you through identification region concept, which is also called IDR, and you'll come to know how to adjust IDR, header area, ticket area, and item areas of IDR. Finally, I'll be talking about FPM error page, which is a concept which will help you to take your application to smooth termination rather than unexpected hard stop termination. This would really enable you to develop customer-friendly applications in FPM scenario. I'll be making you understand how to create error page and call the FPM error page. The chapter 5 deals with shared data component. Shared data component is one of the most important topics in FPM area. This comes into picture when you are using multiple Web Dynpro components in your FPM application and you want to share the data among these components. So we'll be understanding what is shared data component and how do you implement shared data component in real-time FPM applications. Chapter 6 deals with GUIBBs, which is generic user interface building block. Here I'll be talking about what is generic user interface building block and what is the use of it and why do we have it. I'll be taking you through some of the fundamental concepts of GUIBB, which is feeder class, and what are the different types of GUIBBs that are available, and the methods of important interfaces that are participating in GUIBB scenarios. I will also explain the most commonly used and most important GUIBBs, that are form GUIBB, list GUIBB, tabbed GUIBB, and search GUIBB. So I'll also show you the real-time FPM application examples for each GUIBB which is listed here. Chapter 7 deals with navigation in FPM applications. Here I'll be talking about how do you navigate from your FPM application to other applications. There are different types of navigation, so I've taken two types of navigation. One is using Launchpad and the other one is using FPM navigation APIs. So after covering all these topics, I'm sure that you'll be comfortable in taking up real-time FPM applications, and you'll be really confident in taking up FPM projects. Now we'll move to chapter 1, which will talk about the introduction to Floor Plan Manager. These are all the session objectives, and this is what we are going to talk about in this particular session. So I'll be basically covering what is SAP Floor Plan Manager and what are the different benefits we have that are basically for both developer and also the end user, and what is something called floor plan and what are the different types that are available. There are basically 4 types. We'll be seeing all these types in detail in the upcoming slides. I'll also be discussing the detailed architecture of FPM based Web Dynpro applications, and there will be an overview of component interface IF FPM UI building block, which is the backbone of FPM architecture. So what is SAP Floor Plan Manager? FPM is nothing but a framework in which you can embed multiple Web Dynpro components to show a consistent UI across the entire application. So let's say you have different Web Dynpro applications and you have a big team wherein which 10 to 15 developers are there. Then you feel you want to construct a new Web Dynpro application and you want to make sure that all the customers who are using this application will have the consistent UI look of this particular application. So how do you make it? So that's where FPM helps. So FPM is nothing but a framework in which you can place all your applications that are developed by the entire team, and then you can show as one particular application wherein which the common functionalities are provided by FPM itself, so that it makes sure all the UIs that are provided by the entire team will look consistent across the entire application. So multiple interface views of one or more Web Dynpro components can be put together in FPM, whereas in Web Dynpro you have something called interface view, that is nothing but a one-to-one mapping between the window and your interface view. So using which you can embed multiple interface views into SAP FPM and then show it as one particular UI. So interface view in the Web Dynpro component corresponds to something called UIBB, that is user interface building block in SAP FPM environment. Having understood what is SAP Floor Plan Manager, we'll now move to the different benefits of SAP Floor Plan Manager. The first and foremost benefit is UI harmonization. So I can explain a real-time scenario. So let's say I have a Google example. So this is the search page. Let me also open the images page and the maps. So if I go to images and maps, all these pages have something common. So I have the search bar and then the search button, which is common in all these pages, and also the top section which displays all the applications of Google. So let's say I go to images and I search something, and then if I want to navigate to something else, I can just click on this particular section. So this is where user gets the feel of consistent UI look. So this is what exactly we are trying to achieve using SAP Floor Plan Manager. So using SAP FPM, you get the harmonized look of your entire application so that it becomes more usable for the end clients. The design follows the SAP user interface design guidelines. So SAP comes up with the UI guidelines so that are to be followed across the entire application. So this SAP FPM obeys all these UI guidelines. And also using SAP Floor Plan Manager, you greatly save time to program. For example, if you want to develop, let's say the toolbar buttons to save or close or edit your particular business object, you don't have to really code them either in Web Dynpro or in any other language. You just have to plug in your Web Dynpro application into FPM, and you just have to define what buttons that are already there. You'll have to just choose from the list of available libraries. So in this way, you will greatly save the time to program the user interface part. And simple applications are adjusted by configuring the underlying Web Dynpro components, and you do not have to do any additional programming for this. FPM also uses Web Dynpro adjustment concepts, and also it has implicit and explicit options. We'll be discussing all those in upcoming sessions. What is floor plan and what are the different types? Floor plan is nothing but a design template for your business application with which you can say, okay, this is the type of the template I want in my Web Dynpro application. So let's say I take an example of a shopping cart. So in this case, I would rather want the step-by-step procedure in my application instead of putting everything in one particular UI. So it's like step 1 for choosing my items, step 2 for checking out all the items which I have in my shopping cart, and then the third step would be for the payment, and the fourth step is for the confirmation. So this kind of flow plan is called guided activity flow plan. So like this, you have 4 different floor plans that are available in FPM, and those are basically design templates with which you can embed all your Web Dynpro applications to give a different look to the UI. So I have OIF, which that is Object Instance Floor Plan, and QAF, which is Quick Activity Floor Plan. The third one is GAF, which is Guided Activity Floor Plan. And the final one is Overview Floor Plan, that is OVP. We'll be seeing all these floor plans in detail with examples in the upcoming slides. The first one I'll be talking about is Object Instance Floor Plan. The OAF is basically a template which hold the details of a business object and the different tasks that can be performed on that particular business object. Here I have taken an example of idea board. Idea is a business object here. So when I talk about idea, I have different information attached to that, like basic details, related ideas, what are the different attachments that are there, and then other activities. So idea board, whatever is listed here, is nothing but the application title, that is also called IDR, that is identification region. And next section I have here is the toolbar, that is the OIF toolbar. So each floor plan has its own toolbar. So this is the toolbar which is attached for the OIF floor plan. And then I have something called main views. Here I have 5 different main views. So basic details, related ideas, more details, attachments, and activities. And each main view can also have have its subviews like subview 1, subview 2, subview 3, etc. So here I've provided only one subview. That's why you don't see anything like subview here. And inside each subview you have something called content area, which is nothing but the content of your interface view from Web Dynpro component. So this is how the list of things that are arranged here. And so let me just show that in the system. So I go to the transaction called SC80, which is for Object Navigator. Each floor plan has its Web Dynpro component attached. For example, for OIF, the Web Dynpro component that is attached is FPM underscore OIF underscore component. So let me open that. So in SC80 transaction, I choose Web Dynpro component slash interface and then provide the relevant component here. So this is nothing but a Web Dynpro component, and it has all the entities that a Web Dynpro component can have. I expand the Web Dynpro applications. So this is something different we see in the normal Web Dynpro application. So I have the Web Dynpro applications. Under that I have something called the configurations that are attached to the Web Dynpro component. So let me open a Web Dynpro application. Under that I have the Web Dynpro application configuration, and I expand that and I right click on it and say test. So this is a standard Web Dynpro component, and I'm trying to show you how the OIF application looks. Okay, so this is how OIF based FPM application looks. Here I have the FPM application title, which is nothing but idea region, the identification region. So under that I have the idea extended region, which will have multiple details about whatever I have in the detail section. Then this is the message manager here, and I can configure my FPM messages, and then below that I have the FPM toolbar. So here I have placed two buttons, and then here SAP also provides something called the main views, have three different tabs. So overview, ATP and pricing are different tabs here, and under each tab I have the content, which is nothing but my Web Dynpro interface views. So this is about OAF. Coming to QAF, QAF stands for Quick Activity Floor Plan. So Quick Activity Floor Plan is basically to perform the quick activities what are available in that particular business object. For example, in some time I don't want to see the complete details of a business object, rather I would want to see the quick details. For example, the important details of a particular object, and then with some navigation or something, then I would like to see the more details of that particular business object. So in this scenario I have the idea board. I don't want to see all the related ideas, more details, attachments and activities in one particular UI. Rather I would only see the basic detail, and then I would like to go for a link or something on which when I click on it, then a browser opens which would provide more details about that particular object. So QAF now is no different from OAF except one case. OAF basically has multiple main views and subviews. QAF will have only one main view and one subview. The same Web Dynpro component is shared even for QAF. So let me go back to the system, and I'll try to show you the SAP standard application for QAF. So the component that is used for QAF is also FPM OAF component. So I'll be taking you through the standard application here. I open the application and then the configuration, right click on the configuration and say test. So as I already said, QAF is the same OIF with one difference, that is it doesn't have anything like different main views or sub views. There's only one view that is called one main view and one sub view, so that's why you don't see anything like a tab. So if I have to compare it with OIF, I have the OAF part here and it has 3 tabs, and QAF is one plain UI. So other than that, everything is same. You have the idea region, and then you have the message region, and then you have the toolbars, and then you have the interface view part. Coming to guided activity flow plan, GAF is basically a roadmap that shows the logical sequence of steps. So this is something that can be compared with the Web Dynpro roadmap UI element, and the Web Dynpro component for this floor plan is FPM GAF component. So this is how it looks. If I want to submit a new idea, I have developed an application which involves 5 different steps. So this can be correlated with the shopping cart example as well. So I have first step as basic details, the second step as related ideas, then more details, attachments, and review and submit. So each step will have its main views and sub views, and then I can choose to have the interface views from my Web Dynpro component here. So let me take you through the standard example for GAF. I go to the component, FPM GAF component, and then expand the application, expand the application configuration, and then run it. So each roadmap step in guided activity floor plan can have its sub roadmap steps, and it looks like this. So here I have 3 steps to complete the mass change usage rate. So I have the previous and next buttons from the toolbar that are already defined by SAP FPM environment. So I have to just embed my interface view from Web Dynpro component here, and then if I try to navigate, it would complete 3 steps, and then with that it ends there. Coming to the next floor plan, overview floor plan. So overview floor plan can be compared with QAF because the UI looks similar. The purpose of OVP and QAF is altogether a different thing. OVP is basically meant for giving an overview of what is there in the application, or it's like a quick look on what you're going to do. But in QAF, it's you actually display the things that are to be displayed in OAF, but it is the main details that are to be put together for the business object is displayed here in QAF. So overview of important details and possible activities in an application can be displayed using OVP floor plan. That's like home page. So here I have an example of idea management system which displays the quick details of whatever ideas I have. So I have something called my ideas, in which I have grouped all my ideas based on the status. So I have 15 ideas with the draft status, and then when I click on 15, all the 15 ideas will be displayed in this particular table, and then I can click on the link to open the detailed idea page. The Web Dynpro component Now that is used for OVP is FPM underscore OVP underscore component. I'll be taking through a short demo on the standard application as well to give you a look and feel of how OVP occurs. So I open the application configuration and then test it. So in OVP you have different sections. Each section is linked to the interface view of Web Dynpro component. So this is how OVP appears. So here I have here the thing which is configured is kind of a launchpad. You have list of links. If you click on a link, then it opens a new page and then displays the details. But you can also choose to have other details that are configured for your OVP floor plan, like the table which I have shown in an example, like this. So with this, we have discussed all the floor plans in detail with an example. Let us go to the discussion of architecture based on Web Dynpro application. So I have my Web Dynpro application for which the application configuration is created, and it is then linked to a FPM component depending on the floor plan. So like for OAF, if it is FPM OAF component, then for GAF it is FPM GAF component, and for OVP it is FPM OVP component. And then for each FPM component I have the component configuration created. Then I have my IDR component, which is basically for application title. I create the component configuration for it. Then I have UI building block. Under each component configuration I can group all the interface views of Web Dynpro component into all these UIBBs. I can also choose to go for GUIBBs, which is advanced version, in which you can configure the generic UI building blocks like tree, search, tabbed, and form, etc. So now we'll just discuss about the important component interface, IF FPM UI building block. So this is a Web Dynpro component interface. This has list of methods that are to be implemented when you are working in FPM environment. So if you decide that a particular Web Dynpro component has to be linked to FPM component, then you have to implement this particular interface in a Web Dynpro component. This interface has a list of methods that are called by FPM in a predefined order, and a user doesn't have any control on it. So these are all the different methods that are there in this particular FPM component interface. After failed event, flush, needs confirmation, process before output, and process event. So the predefined order will be discussed in upcoming sessions, but the entire order and the execution is all depending on the FPM environment, and user doesn't have any control to change the order programmatically. Okay, so this particular slide summarizes the entire thing what we have discussed in this session. So we understood FPM is a framework in which we can embed multiple Web Dynpro components to show off in a consistent UI application. And we have also discussed the different benefits like UI harmonization, and it greatly saves the time to program the user interface, and it is highly configurable environment. And we have also understood the floor plan, which is a design template, and there are different floor plan types. There are totally 4: OAF, QAF, OOP, and GAF. And we also discussed about the architecture of FPM based Web Dynpro applications, and how the Web Dynpro application, FPM component configuration, and UIBBs are linked together. And also we had a look at the important interface, IF FPM UI building block. Thank you.